Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Healing Numbers 22. Today, our special guest is Dorothy Morgan, who is an astrologer, our go-to astrologer. Everybody has seen our videos in the past, and she's also a participant in live numerology readings. And we have another Mercury retrograde right up on us. It starts on the 23rd of August and ends on the 15th, correct? Is that correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, and this seems like a long one. Is this longer than normal?
It's a little longer, just by a day or two. They
Yeah,
usually run
yeah.
just a specific period of time. I actually haven't looked at the exact date, but I think I think it's because it crosses the months. It seems like it's just a little bit longer.
Oh,
But
that could be.
they're usually right around 3 weweeks long. Yeah.
Right,
20
right,
days,
right.
21 days, sometimes 19. But
Yeah.
yeah. But
So,
yes,
what is Mercury up to this month and next month?
Mercury, it's wonderful. So some of the astrology of this will, for those who haven't seen this, us talk before, I will do some astrology talking, but I'm also going to say, and what that means. So don't get stuck in your head.
Right,
I don't know what that means.
right,
A lot of people do that, and that's okay. That's okay. And
right,
Sue's going to interject with the numerology,
right.
where it fits, right?
Yeah,
Where it just seems
correct.
appropriate.
Because they
So
do work together. It always works
absolutely.
together. It's
It sure
amazing.
does. It sure does. And you're going to get to hear a lot of that. So we'll spend 15 or 20 minutes right now talking about that. So Mercury retrograde, August 23rd at 21 degrees of Virgo. That's the same day the sun enters the sign of Virgo. So now we're in so we have a little added energy to that. And we also have Mars has been moving through the sign of Virgo. And just put this on your calendars, just put this in your notes. July 23rd through August 13th is when Mars was moving through the area of Virgo that this retrograde is going to be. So things could have come up way back in that time frame, and you'll understand more as we move through today's talk. All right, so just keep that in mind. So Mercury is in charge of Virgo. It's the ruler. It rules Gemini and it rules the sign of Virgo, meaning that's its home sign. And it's also in what we call exaltation in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury in Virgo, it's the perfect placement for that planet, right? And it will go retrograde in that sign every 3 or 4 years. And so in that sign of Virgo, Mercury in Virgo, we get an opportunity to pay attention to the details. It's asking us to look at all the details. And while Mercury can take only, just a short 3 weeks to move through a zodiac sign, when it's in regular movement, regular motion, in this sense, it goes about, I think it's 10 weeks it spends in the sign of Virgo. So that's almost 3 times the amount of, calendar space that it spends in that zodiac sign. So we really get to hone in on Virgo things, which is, again, it's hardworking, focusing on the details for sure, but being flexible and mutable and allowing a form of flow, because Virgo is earth energy and it's mutable energy, meaning that I want to do this, but then I need to do that and I need to do this. So we need to be mutable and changeable and flowy, just like when you're gardening, you pull out weeds, you harvest, you do all the different things, you're constantly doing different things. And so Virgo is also very detail-oriented and very precise, right? We really have this discriminating energy when it comes to Mercury in the sign of Virgo. And again, usually it's just like the speed demon, zoom, and it just zooms through, and we're like, what did I miss? It's already in the next sign. But the beautiful opportunity of a retrograde, Mercury retrograde, is that we get to slow down. So we get to work with this energy. So we have an opportunity during these retrogrades, and a lot of people think that it's a negative thing, and things do go wrong all the time. I was working with a client. We're recording this on August 17th. I was just working with a client yesterday, and she couldn't get on the Zoom thing because she goes, "Oh, Mercury's retrograde." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Bad things happen all the time.
Right.
But
it does slow things down.
It will, absolutely.
Yes.
It gives us the opportunity to, during the retrograde period, to put things in order. So it's kind of like, running through and just grabbing all the ingredients, or somebody you're just piling up. It's like, here's my to-do list, and you're making a to-do list, and it's like getting longer and longer. That's just Mercury moving direct, right? But when it's retrograde, you get to go back over that list.
Right.
Or
Correct.
project, if you're working on a project, whatever it is, that is part of your current life experience, that you need to slow down and focus on those details, so you can make things can become more efficient, and you're not spinning your wheels so much. This is a wonderful opportunity for that, so we can be more precise, and just like getting rid of what isn't working, like, again, like weeding your garden. At this point in time, when I used to have a garden, I don't anymore. I'm in an apartment. But in August, it, like, the grass and the weeds would be really high. I'd be like, forget it. I can find that cucumber in there with the grass. But it's that, just as a metaphor, if you will. It's just like, you go through and weed a little bit. It makes life cleaner and more efficient. And I think of work, because Virgo rules our everyday occupation, our everyday, the things that are part of our everyday routines. But then we have to remember what else is part of everyday routine: our health, right? Our health and our
what?
wellness.
Oh, health. Yes.
Our health and our wellness.
Right.
That's part of our everyday routine. That's also Virgo. So if you've been letting things slide, Sue and I had a conversation before we started the recording. If you just think things can slide when it comes to something in regard to your overall health, not predicting anything, people. I'm just, look at your own overall health.
Right.
What is it? This is the time of year. And now, especially with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and while the sun is in Virgo, it's the time of year to get that back in order. We tend to, here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer, we tend to slide a little bit in the summer. It's like, oh, I'll eat that ice cream even though I'm lactose intolerant, or, oh, I'll eat those fried foods even though I know my gallbladder is going to scream at me. These are examples.
Right.
I'm not saying it's true. Wink, wink. But when we get to Virgo time of year, it's asking us as well, or it's just showing us where it's really wonderful that we have this opportunity to slow it down, and let's get our what back together again, and get more organized, and just it feels more efficient. It's not doesn't have to be drudgery. It's just, let's get a little more organized. Let's get back to having a little more organization, and life will feel much more in order. So that is some of the things that I see with that.
Now, in numerology, in August, it's a 6 month. So it revolves around family, friends, community, right? I don't know if that works with Virgo and Mercury, but it brings in responsibilities.
Oh, wow. Good.
It wants you to face responsibilities. It's also about putting up boundaries and making sure that you're not being taken advantage of. People aren't asking too much from you. Oh, wow. So it's important to really evaluate you and look within and what's right for you. And it's so right about health. All this whole year, 2023, being the 7 universal year, is about health and taking care of it and looking at it. And it, like you said, doesn't mean it's big. Could be that need that's been bothering and aching. Maybe this is the time that you go and get it checked out.
Yeah. I mean, it could be any of those little nagging things, right?
Because Virgo is very earthy, right?
It's earth. Yeah. It's mutable earth energy. So it is very grounded. And it wants, you want to keep your feet on the ground with that.
Right.
But when it does come to health and wellness, whenever I look at, somebody's chart, or just see what's going on in the world, or personally, the Virgo energy is important, because if we let those details slip and slide, then
Gets
again,
bigger.
like I said, like if you're lactose intolerant, but you're at a party and there's a cheese plate there, but you love it and you eat it, and then you're going to have a problem. I mean, you don't want to let those
Right.
things slide. I mean, treat yourself
Right.
just a little. I have those
Yeah,
problems
you're right.
myself.
You're
Treat
right.
yourself just a little, but don't overdo it. But that's where Virgo comes in. It's like when we've let things slide in our health, whether, for me, I talk about digestion a lot because that's what Virgo does. It processes things. So while we're processing information, Virgo is well known for, in our bodies, the overall health and wellness is Virgo's territory. And so that's why sometimes we let things slide. And when we get to the Virgo time of year, and we happen to have Mercury retrograde in Virgo this year, and Mars just finished moving through there, meaning there was a lot of movement and activity in your Virgo sector that's going to be activated 3 times by Mercury, right? 3 times, which the shadow phase started on August 3rd and it ends September 30th. And then that retrograde period, which is the most intense period, is August 23rd to September 15th. All right. So there's these big groups. And on YouTube, I'll put this on my YouTube channel. I'll put those dates in the write-up below the video, just for those who need to see that. And so it is, I personally will be focusing on, like I said, what are my office chores? What's the business doing? What details do I need to handle moving towards the end of the year? I want to teach some classes. I haven't put anything together yet. I've been too busy. The retrograde period is when I'm going to be doing it. And again, for you, overall honing in on your health. So those are some of the overall things, and what you do with it, again, depends on your own current life circumstances, because I can't tell where it's happening. For those who are listening, I can't tell where it's happening in your own astrology. But you can get a reading from me or Sue anytime, because her information will be below here too, and mine will be in hers. So you can reach out for us anytime you want.
And on mine too, my YouTube. Yes, most definitely.
And then I'm going to add something else before I do that, though. Do you have anything you wanted to add right there?
No, other than universally throughout this whole year, it's all been about self-reflection and looking within, not doing what everybody else thinks we're doing. We're starting to back away from that a little bit and realizing that we are important too.
Yeah. And you know what? This is where I wanted to tap into something that's not Mercury retrograde. And I'm going to get to an aspect that's happening 3 times. We're going to talk about that in just a sec. But just a quick touch on the planet Pluto, because this is, Mercury will get close to Pluto during its retrograding phases. But Pluto for the whole year and all the way into January is at the very end of Capricorn. And what that means is that it's showing to me the things in my life. We can see it globally when things are falling apart. But in our own lives, bring it back to us, what isn't sustainable anymore? And this Virgo time period, with all the things you've just said, is going to help us to really hone in. That's a big word right now. I've been using a lot I like to wonder what the numerology of honing, or whatever the word is, I'll
figure that out.
Thank you. And the thing is, it's like, Pluto in Capricorn at the very end of Capricorn says, this is not sustainable. Whatever this is, I don't know what that empty space is for you. For me, it's just, the way I work. Some things aren't sustainable anymore. So we're going to have to slowly phase some things out, bring things in that have more meaning, whatever. What is it for you? What is it that you know in your own life that isn't sustainable, and it's either too much stress and it's bothering you, or things are, you need to make a change, or things are falling apart and you can't control it, so you have to let go. You have to ask yourself that. And that sounds really similar to what you're telling us the 7 is, because if we need to take care of ourselves, which means we need to let go of things that aren't effective or aren't useful and helpful. And that's
in August is the 6th. So I feel like a lot of people have experienced family, friends, community. That's going to be swung back around. They're going to be re-looking at things, reevaluating things. Very important for them to speak up their truths. It's okay, which we're all learning how to do. We're all all learning how to grab that a little bit more.
Yeah.
It also, the 6 is about health.
Yeah.
Again, it all works together.
It sure
It
does.
all works together. Yes. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that comes out in the news about health, about something new that they're working on or developing, and that will appear in 2024.
Yeah. And not another conspiracy.
Yeah.
I don't know. We won't go down that rabbit hole.
No.
Now, here's some other beautiful things that we can do with this as well. Because in this time frame, the whole time frame that Mercury is moving between 8 degrees of Virgo and 21 degrees of Virgo, which is August 3rd to September 30th. It's the only exact aspect is actually making is 1 to Jupiter. It's getting close to a bunch of other planets. I'm going to tell you what that means, and I'm going to give you some dates. First off, I'll tell you what it means. Mercury making a trine aspect. It's 120 degrees to Jupiter. All right. Jupiter in Taurus, Mercury in Virgo, they're both Earth. That's grounded. That's like feeling really solid. And during the first aspect, which was on August 9th, I know it's already come and gone, but you can look at what you were feeling and give it some wiggle room. It doesn't have to be that exact date. Give it some wiggle room, give it a week or so on either side. But Mercury, trine, Jupiter, this is like opportunities, big ideas. Mercury is thoughts. Mercury in Virgo is the small little thoughts. But Jupiter says, hey, let's blow that up really big. So we could have a ton of little thoughts, a ton of great ideas. Who doesn't have a book? This book right here, this notebook of mine, I won't show it to you. It looks like one of these. It is full of, here's this idea. I'm a Gemini, so I always have a ton of ideas.
Yeah, me too.
This is everybody may have. Hopefully you pay attention. Those moments of insight, get out, use your notepad, use your whatever you voice notes, whatever you use, get these ideas down on paper. And even when they feel super big and grandiose, because Jupiter says, these are some great ideas. This is a big project, but you can do it. And you have all of these ideas. Think about that and process that. And that was the first aspect of that was on August 9th. So what's the numerology of that day?
On August 9th, the universal day was a 6. And 6 and 9, those are emotional energies. So there could have been some emotions that were producing the ideas of change, because there was also another number within that would suggest change or expansion. Right. It was asking to speak, to talk.
Wonderful.
It over, but it wants change, and it wants to let go of things. It wants to think about what it needs to let go of.
Yeah. And just looking at the overall day is astrologically, Venus was square Uranus on that day as well before she went retrograde. And was she retrograde then? Anyways, Venus square Uranus. So Taurus, Leo energy. Yeah, what we value, what we love, big ideas. Could have even involved some money, an idea of how to
6 does that. Yeah.
Oh, does it? Yeah. So a big on an idea that you think is going to make like big money. So there is that.
Right.
Okay. So the next day that this is going to happen, the same aspect is when Mercury is retrograde, and that will be on September 4th. So my opinion, so look at what was or did or started to manifest or ideas you had on the 9th of August. On September 4th is when you can just start to reevaluate it. That's what Mercury retrograde is about, reevaluating those things. It's like, oh, that was big. Maybe I can't do that. Or maybe I can. You might have some doubt, but you might not. But you can also look at whatever you've been working on and manifesting or thinking you're going to manifest, and just start to fine tune it. And that's what happens on September 4th. So what is that about in numerology?
And that this September 4th in the universal year is the 11-2. That brings in ungrounded energy. So the ideas are flowing. They're really flowing, and they're making it's making maybe a little bit more sense because there's a lot of small details within that, those ideas. And something unexpected can come forward, and that doesn't mean it's bad. It just, it was one of those, I didn't see that one coming. So some idea just goes, whoa.
Yeah. And the big ideas the things that are like really grandiose to you, but go ahead and write them down. It's great to have a long-term goal. However, the same day on September 4th, Jupiter is stationary and goes retrograde. So, and Mercury's retrograde then. So this is like both of these guys are like not moving. So we're going to get a big opportunity in that time frame. Again, a few days on either side of the 4th, but the 4th is the apex of this aspect, as both of them are now retrograde or stationary. And it's just like that big idea, idea accent showed up. That big idea is definitely something that spend some time on the 4th. I would actually really on the 4th and see in meditation or contemplation or however you sift and sort through ideas, because I think that is going to
keep
be
your feet grounded. That's the biggest thing, is to keep yourself grounded.
It's with, I think of Jupiter. I have this visual. That's one of my clairs, right? I just see these pictures and I see a big hot air balloon there. They've just shut off that big, the big fire they do.
Yeah.
They just turned it off, and now Jupiter's just starting to, the air has to cool down before the balloon starts to come back down.
Descend.
But that's Jupiter coming, retrograding, coming back down. But it met with Mercury up there. So anyways, I don't know, crazy ideas.
No, it's all good. It's all wonderful.
And then the final aspect with Mercury direct and Jupiter retrograde, the third and final one is September 25th. And I think that's, of course, that's when Mercury retrograde is over. So there'll be some movement forward. We'll be able to actually start taking some steps on September 25th. But the ultimate big plan will be when Jupiter gets back there, but that's not till next year. So I'm not going to get into that today. But that Jupiter, there it is. Yeah. And there's no other aspects on that day, on the 25th, when Mercury makes its third and final connection to Jupiter. But I feel that really is an opportunity where we're going to be able to like move forward with some things. We're in a good lunar phase then as well. We're just after the second quarter before the full moon. So we're moving forward. So that's terrific too. So that's a great time frame for manifesting. So what are those
in
numbers?
Numerology, it's a 32-5. 5 is about change, expansion. Move it. Let's go.
Oh, there you go.
Take that big idea that came in, especially around the 4th.
Yeah.
Something's going to come in and be open to that idea. It might not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
on the 9th.
And sit with it. Sit with it. Let Mercury slow it down a little bit so you can really focus in on it.
Yep.
And then the change comes in at the end of the month. It's like, well, I'm on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. That's exactly what we need to do. So there we are. Lots of details that we can work with, that we can slow down. Great big new ideas potentially coming through that we'll get to work with over the next number of months. And understanding that it's normal and it's okay with that Pluto at the end of Capricorn to stop doing things that just don't sustain you anymore. Whatever that happens to be, you know your life, you know the category it is for you. And so that's it, not in a nutshell, but that's it. That's a recap. And for you.
Right. And I agree 100%. The biggest thing is to self-reflect, allow yourself to really get to know you and not what everybody else wants you to be. Because it's the turning point here where we all have to stand in our own power, because we're no good to anybody else unless we take control.
Always fill your cup first. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful.
This was really good. I always learn so much from you, Dorothy. I appreciate you joining me so that I can share this with my people. And
and you too. Thank you for joining me and sharing you with my people. I appreciate it. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue. Have good care, everybody.